Hello and welcome back to Russ Plays Games. My name is Russ and today we're continuing our Let's Play through Chrono Trigger. Now when we last left off we went to the year 12,000 BC. Okay? And as you can see we got cast out by the prophet. We're not sure who the prophet is just yet. But we were cast out by the prophet, and we can see that this right here, okay, this is the seal. We can't go in there. So we have to go find a way to get back. Okay, so we're gonna get on these little dactyls here, and we're gonna fly over here to Mystic Mountains. Because we can still use time travel. Whee! Uh-oh. Yeah, that's okay. I'll take care of these guys pretty quick. Okay. Alright. So, basically, we have to get back to 12,000 BC, okay? Because the Queen is kind of a maniacal idiot who wants to take a machine that amplifies the power of Lavos and put it next to him in some place known as the Ocean Palace. Can any of you viewers figure out where the Ocean Palace is? Okay, so if we talk to this guy, he says, "Aha, so you've been to the land of magic. Now that the Pillar of Light is sealed, you will be needing something that will transport you through time. I recall someone working on such a device. The Wings of Time, I believe he called it. I'm afraid he became a tad psychotic spending so much of his time doing research." Any ideas where this researcher might be? If we want to, we can talk to Isla really quick. If you want to see what Now, you notice something different about Specchio here? So, when you attain certain levels in the game, okay, Specchio's appearance changes, okay? So basically what he said there was that, because Isla was born way before magic existed, that she is not, that she does not have the ability to use magic, but she can actually get by on her own with other things. Now, there's two ways that we can get to where we're going. One is Protodome. The other one, oh, you know what? We never did go to that one. So let's go, actually here, let's go. There's one Pillar of Light that we're missing, because we never went back and went through this one. This one will actually be a little easier to get through. Do you remember where it is, viewers? This happened a while back. It was right after we first went to 600 AD and came back. We went through a trial. Anybody remember? That's right. Oh, which means we actually have to go through Protodome. Damn it. Alright. Now, forgot. But we can't get back through there because they blocked it off. Well, there is an event that you can do at the castle with Marl in your party, if you wish. We'll be doing that before we get towards the end of the game. Okay? So we're actually going to have to go to Protodome, because I thought we could go through the fairgrounds to get back to the doorway on the other side. Okay? But, unfortunately, we couldn't do that, so we actually wasted some time trying to get back through there. That was my bad. Okay. But, do you remember what was at that dome? I'm not actually going to show that off right now. What I am going to do is kill these guys. Just walk through. You'll be amazed at how quickly you can get through this area. It is so easy. Because before it's like we were very under-leveled. Now we're like uber-leveled. So it's not going to take that long to actually get through here. And before we didn't actually have any magic spells, so it was hard to deal the requisite number of damage. But the other thing is, if you do like, you know, you can do that kind of stuff. It's pretty easy to kill these guys now. So yeah, you'll find that Specchio actually changes all of his stuff around. He's kind of an interesting feller. So yeah. So we don't actually have too much longer to go here in the Chrono Trigger before we're going to finish. And so, oh, come on. Because we're over halfway through the game right now, just the base game. That doesn't include like running between all the different things. So yeah, no matter what, if you come over here, whichever side you go to, Johnny will always be standing there. So what we're gonna do is, we're gonna have to go through these labs really fast. I'm just gonna attack this guy. I don't care at this point. Just because it'd be a lot easier. Now we don't have to worry about those stupid rats stealing our dang tonics. So yeah, these are actually pretty benign creatures now, as we're going through. So like I said, I just wanted to be able to kind of show like how we're doing with things. Darn rats. But once we get the thing for time traveling that we absolutely need to get, it's actually going to be a lot easier just to travel through time. So it's not that hard. And I'll kind of explain the whole time traveling thing, the whole mechanic of it. It's not that hard. Oh no, don't hit me for 4 damage. I might die later in life. The pendant begins to glow. Got 1 charm top, got 1 full ether, got 1 wallet. Okay, so I will kind of explain what's going on here. Okay, so we got the full tonic, so like we have 12 full tonics now. We're gonna need those in a little while. Basically, the charm top, one of Isla's, and I might use her when we get back to 12,000 BC. I'll explain that a little bit better a little bit later. But basically, for Isla, she has a charm mechanic that basically allows her to steal. I use air quotes when I say steal. So it basically allows her to steal. The charm top actually ups the occurrence of that going on. And there's a reason why you kind of need to get this, because there's a point later in the game, it's kind of the final dungeon, again I use air quotes, it's the final dungeon of the game, and you kind of need the charm top to be able to get it. The wallet basically is worthless on the first playthrough, because it turns your experience into gold. You need experience in this game. You need to be able to level up. So the only time that the wallet is really good is going to be like way late through many different playthroughs of New Game Plus. So honestly, it really doesn't make that much of a difference. So they literally like shifted like a millimeter. So yeah, it's definitely one of those things that you want to do. So now, when we finally get these 2 pillars unlocked, which we should be able to do that, if we get those 2 pillars unlocked, guess what? We will then have all of the pillars of light to every single place. Okay? So, this pillar of light was the one that I tried to get to. Okay? And what you'll notice is that if you go here, you can actually pick up the little thing, okay? But before you do that, okay, what you want to do is you actually want to go back in time to 600 AD, go find the one that's in the Guardia Forest that's at the end right before you go to that particular location, okay? So if we go to Truce Canyon, I'm just going to kind of show this off a little bit here. Okay. There's a neat little trick that you can do to get better equipment, and we'll be using this a little bit later on in the game to get some of our ultimate equipment. But basically I'm just going to kind of explain how to work this. It's fairly simple. It's actually, a lot of people kind of missed it on first playthroughs, but it's actually got a really good, the designers of the game actually put it in there and did a really good job of kind of hiding it so that you didn't know what to do. So basically, when you come over here to Guardia Forest, okay, And of course we're going to stop off and grab a shelter. Always got to get the shelter. Okay. So if you run all the way over here, and I know it seems like kind of a weird, kind of a convoluted way of doing it. Okay. Oh, it didn't do that. Okay, so it was just a speed tab. Okay, well, I'll explain it. So basically what happens is normally if you go back in the past and you try to grab, or you know, so like you go to 680 and you try to grab something out of the box, it will ask you, it will say the pendant reacts to something in the box. Would you like to take out the contents? You can say yes or no. If you say yes, then it will automatically take the contents and you will miss out on what the box has to offer in the future. Take the item inside? No. Okay, so here's a good example. So what we're going to do is we're going to do that. Okay. Now we're going to go back into Truce Canyon. Okay. We'll fight these two dudes, and then we'll go to Lean Square in 1000 AD. Okay. So I'm just kind of showing this off because I kind of want to show you how you do this, because it's kind of important for later on in the game. So that one tonic that got stolen from me, I actually got it back in that battle. Okay. So then we go back through time. And I know it seems like a lot of unnecessary backtracking, but trust me when I tell you this, okay? That this is actually going to help you a lot. Okay? Especially later on in the game. Because there's some events that will happen, and basically I'm not going to spoil it for you, but there's going to be some events that happen, and so we're going to be able to get all of these boxes, because I'm not going to be running to every single one of these boxes, just because it just seems kind of silly to do that. Okay, so now if we come down here to the Truce Inn, okay, and if we go up here and we talk to this box, it says this box has been in the family for generations. Open it and you may have what's inside. You get blue vest power up to blue mail. Okay, so I'll show you basically what that does. Is, for instance, it absorbs water hits. So basically the blue vest does the same thing as the ruby vest. It cuts water hits by 50%. But because we went back in time, okay, because we went back in time and we reacted to it, and then we came forward in time and we opened up the treasure chest, we got the blue mail. Okay, so this is something that is going to be that you are going to want to do throughout the game. When you look at that stuff, is you want to see, is this going to actually do that? So for instance, like, she has the mist robe, which is good, decent armor for her, but if I give her the blue mail, it ups by 16 and it absorbs water hits. Okay, now while we're here, okay, I'm gonna run over really quick, because remember when I told you to go to Luca's whenever you're in the area? Oh, you're just in time. Got one Tabin helm. It's my finest work, the ultimate defense for my daughter. And so, yeah. So, just like the Tabin vest, the Tabin helm gives her plus 10 magic defense, and it ups by 4. So, I mean, just between the blue mail and the Tabin helm, just by doing those two little things, we're actually giving her a huge boost to her defense. Okay, and that's actually going to help a lot when we get a little bit further in the game. Okay, so what I'm gonna do is let me see here. There's an area in 12,000 BC where we're gonna kind of grind a little bit. It's not actually going to be like too bad to be able to grind. The thing is that once you complete the area, you don't get the grinding of it. You don't get the actual things back, I guess is what I'm trying to say. It's hard to explain, but just suffice to say that that there's a reason why that mountain is anchored with a chain. Okay, in 12,000 BC that we saw in the last episode. We already heard what that was, so I don't have a problem kind of talking about it a little bit. It is called the Mountain of Woe. Okay, and there's an enemy on the Mountain of Woe that gives you 100 tech points for every battle. And once we get there, I'll kind of explain it a little bit, and that way you can kind of understand like how it works. But I'm not going to worry about it right now. So now that we've already gotten the item upgraded, this box has been in the family for generations. Open it, and you may have what's inside. Something is reacting to the pen. Take the item inside, yes. Okay, so we got a blue vest. And so, like I said, just like the ruby vest, it's basically a dark mail, but absorbs 50% of water hits. So it's kind of like the ruby vest, but it absorbs 50% of the damage. So basically, if somebody's going to hit you with water attack, it's only going to deal 50% of that damage. So if it was only going to hit you for 100, it would hit you for 50. So yeah, it can be useful at times, but honestly, we're going to get better equipment anyway, so I mean, it doesn't really matter. So what we're going to do now is we are going to go back to 2300 AD, and we're going to go through the lab 16, or we could even just go through lab 32. It really doesn't make a difference which way we go. So okay, and then what I'm going to do is I'm going to run down really quick and get my so now we pretty much have all of our characters. The characters being the main characters of the story of Chrono Trigger. Okay. But you'll notice that when we look at when we go to the character select screen in the end of time, you'll kind of see that there's a character there, that there's an empty space for another character. The pendant begins to glow. Boom. So we got a gold stud, full ether, and a magic tab. Now, again, what the gold stud does is it cuts MP use by 75%. Now, I know that I put the silver earring on Chrono because I wanted to kind of tank him, but I'm actually going to put this gold stud onto Chrono because I'm using him a lot, and he has, he needs to be able to use a lot of magic. So that's why I'm doing that. It's basically I'm just trying to, I'm going to be kind of using him as a magic as a magic user, as well as Luca. So Luca has a silver stud, which lowers her, hers by 50%, and Chrono's lowers his by 75%. So basically what that means is, if we come over here to the text, okay, the Cyclone attack only uses 1 MP, Slash 1 MP, Lightning 1 MP, Spin Cut 1 MP, Lightning 2 MP, Life 3 MP, Confuse 3 MP, and Lumiere will only use 5 MP. Normally it uses 20, okay? And I have 793. This is Chrono's ultimate attack, and it is probably one of the best attacks in the game outside of Flare, which is the strongest fire magic attack, and it is probably one of the best. Now, granted, we're going to learn Cure 2 with Frog, and then we're probably going to end up, and then his last one is called Frog Squash. I'll just tell you right now, it's called Frog Squash. And basically he just summons a giant frog that comes down and lands. How it works is that it works that the lower that Frog's HP is, so the lower he is to 1 HP, the more damage it does. So for instance, if he was at full HP, it's probably only going to do 20 damage. But if he's at half HP, it's going to do significantly more damage. If he's at 1 HP, it's going to do maximum amount of damage. I don't usually like to use it, but there is a double tech, and I'll just go ahead and tell you since we've already seen the magic spells. It's called Frog Flare. And basically what it is that Frog uses, well, his Frog Squash technique, and Luca uses her flare technique, and it deals a whole bunch of damage. Man, they're just stealing tonics right and left. And so, yeah, it's something that, and it does a lot of damage. So it's a really good double tech. And as stated before, I mean, we've had, different abilities with the different characters. But yeah, this is basically what I'm going to be beating the game with, these guys. Just because it is a heck of a lot easier to beat the game this way. Because these three have the techniques that you're going to be necessary to beat the final boss. And when we get to that area, I will explain that. A lot of people, I don't think, really understand how the last boss works. This is one of the things that I really loved about this game, was that the last boss wasn't dependent upon something like luck or memorizing a pattern. It was more a case of, I have a strategy that I need to use, and if I'm going to use this strategy against this boss, then I need to implement that strategy against the boss. And the one thing that I really, really enjoyed about Chrono Trigger over Chrono Cross, because I know a lot of people are like, ooh, Chrono Cross. Chrono Cross is okay. It's not my favorite. I'm not a huge fan of it. Mostly because it's like in this one, you have a build-up to an epic final showdown. Something that, you're like, hey, I really wanted to, fight this boss, and I really wanted to have an epic final showdown, and there was no epic final showdown. It was just kind of a letdown, and to be honest, I just kind of felt like Chrono Cross went the way of Final Fantasy III, and not in a good way. Final Fantasy III definitely had a decent plot. Basically, it was Kefka's trying to take over the world. Yay, let's go stop him. And so a lot of people liked that. And they spent a lot of time building up the different characters. You know, trying to build up you know, the world by having a number of characters that would do certain having characters that all had their own personalities and all had their own you know, motivations for wanting to fight Kefka, that kind of stuff. And I kind of like that, but I mean, honestly, at the same time, for me, it's like I really wanted Chrono Cross to work because I'm a huge fan of the Chrono series, but Chrono Cross just could not work. Now, this is Death Peak. I know we kind of came down here before. I don't know if I talked about this, but this is Death Peak. Okay? Now, if we try to run up Death Peak, the wind kicks up and knocks us off. So we can't go up. But this is where we're coming, is Keeper's Dome. Please do not disturb my slumber. Okay. We can't do anything with that. So, I know I don't think I showed it early in the game, but basically, if you come through the sewer access when you first come through here, and you come to this dome, you will meet Balthazar, okay? And he will be like, you must stay off Death Peak, you know, and they must help you. And, you know, he's like saying all these random ranting, raving things, and you're kind of like, okay, dude. That will become important later on in the game. I only bring it up because we're here now. The Pendant Shimmers. Okay. Huh? To those who opened the door, I am Balthazar, the Guru of Reason. I once lived in the kingdom of Zeal. A great disaster in Zeal somehow threw me into this era. To my surprise, Lavos exists here, and I suspect in other periods as well. Aeons ago, Lavos descended from the heavens. Burrowing deep into the world's core, he began to consume our planet's energy and grow stronger. Lavos disappeared briefly when he was summoned away by a mighty wizard who lived in Guardia in the year 600. In 1999, Lavos claims this area and reigns from high atop Death Peak. Lavos continues to replicate. Like a giant parasite, he is consuming our world. Forced to live here, I continue to conduct research on Lavos, but I am growing old, and it is impossible to keep sane in such trying times. So before I lose it completely, I shall safeguard my data and my ultimate creation. How I long to return home, but I have grown frail. So you who have opened the door, I leave things in your hands. Only by mastering time itself do you stand a chance against Lavos. The odds will be against you, but you are true heroes. This is actually supposed to have an E in there, but that's alright. The world is in your hands. Open now the last door and take what you find there. My last invention. My wings of time. The Pendant Shimmers. This must be the invention Balthazar spoke of. This moves through time. Scared you, didn't I? It's me, Balthazar. I copied my memory into this thing. What do you think? Anyway, there is something I need to explain. Namely, how to transcend time. Press the Y button for the time gauge, then use the L and R buttons to select an era. Oh yeah, before you go, why don't you name my time machine? The Epic, or the Epoch. Hop aboard. Instructions for the time machines are as follows. The Y button displays the time gauge. Use the L and R buttons and control pad to select a destination in time. Press the A button to board and get off the device, and to warp through time. End Professor's message. Shwing. Mumble, mumble, take off! So now we have access. So this is the time gauge. As you can see, it is the Chrono Trigger C. Now what this is you have 7 different time periods. Okay, so we have 65 million BC, we have 12,000 BC, which is where we're going to go, 600 AD, 1000 AD, 1999, do not go there, 2300, which is where we're at right now, and the end of time. So it will not let you go to the place where you're at. Now, if you go to 1999, so if you go to this time period, you will have to fight Lavos, and you will die at this stage in the game because you are not ready. Okay? So avoid this like the plague for right now. Okay? So we're going to go to 12,000 BC. We're alright, aren't we? Ugh. Epoch's capable of this? So it doesn't matter who you have, that's who it is. So, we actually appeared right outside of the cave where this seal is still in place. Okay? So now, if we wish, we can... Aww, punk. Well, alright. No, the Prophet actually not only had Scala seal this time gate here, but he also had her seal that land bridge. Okay? This bridge, this skyway to the bridge, okay? So we can't get back into the Kingdom of Zeal at the moment, which sucks. Man, I love that music too. Alright, so it looks like where we need to go then is going to be right here. Alright, so next time we are going to head up the Mountain of Woe, and we are actually going to see if we can free Melchior. Can we do it? Find out next time on Let's Play Chrono Trigger. This is Russ for Russ Plays Games, and have a wonderful day.